Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Thanks for joining us on September the 24th, 2022, and we are live here every Saturday morning for the Minnesota Real Estate Show, which is hosted by Scott Wollmering of the We Team and the Minnesota Real Estate Team with RE/MAX Advantage Plus. Today in studio, excited to have JJ Ellingson with Luminate Home Loans joining us. And my name is Ryan O'Neill with the Minnesota Real Estate Team, RE/MAX Advantage Plus. Excited to be here for the entire hour, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. We welcome your questions, your comments, your thoughts. 612-294-6949 is how you can join us. Again, 612-294-6949. Or you can comment on the social media stream, wherever you might be seeing us. Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, wherever it might be. We've got a great topic today, Scott. We're going to be talking about 10 real estate myths, debunked, 10 real estate myths of 2022, debunked. Good morning to you there.
Yeah, good to be here. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Like Ryan said, this is the Minnesota Real Estate Show, and we are live and local every Saturday, 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock. We're going to be talking about the topic, top real estate myths in 2022. We also kind of a fun question that we'll talk about on air as well. But what could somebody do to have you block them on social media? So what would be something that somebody could do to cause you to actually go in and physically block them from your site?
Oh, boy.
On the edge.
We are razor sharp here at the Minnesota Real Estate Show.
Yeah, it is. And again, you'll see on wherever you might be catching the stream. I just commented too. There's a little app we use called Restream that if you download it, it allows us to see your name as well when you're commenting. Sometimes we can see it, sometimes we can't. But with this Restream app, we can see who you are when you're commenting, questions, thoughts. JJ, your big radio debut. Welcome there.
Oh, thanks for having me, guys. I didn't sleep at all last night.
Excited to have JJ Ellingson. Last weekend, Alex Grip was on. Alex works on JJ's team, but a lot going on in the mortgage world. A lot to talk about today.
Do we really have to talk about it?
Oh, so true. And we got to welcome on our buddy, Steve Groen. Steve, the man himself. Thanks for joining us, buddy.
Good to be back. It's going to be exciting.
Steve is always full of great information. One of our great partners, again, mnrealestateshow.com. If you look at all of our trusted partners, Steve is the owner of a company called Standard Water. We're getting ready to go live on air here right now. Twin Cities News Talk, AM 1130. Thanks for joining us. Good morning and welcome to the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Thank you for tuning in and thanks for joining us. September the 24th, 2022. Fall has begun here in Minnesota and we are live here every Saturday morning for the Minnesota Real Estate Show, hosted by our friends at Luminate Home Loans. JJ Ellingson in studio today. Awesome. Trusted partner, loan officer with Luminate Home Loans. The show is also hosted by Scott Wollmering of the We Team and the Minnesota Real Estate Team of RE/MAX Advantage Plus. And my name is Ryan O'Neill with the Minnesota Real Estate Team, RE/MAX Advantage Plus. We are live every Saturday, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Your questions, comments, thoughts are welcome. 612-294-6949 is how you can join us. 612-294-6949. Or if you're watching on social media, on any of the platforms, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, your questions are welcome throughout the show. Scott, today's topic is real estate myths debunked, the 10 real estate myths in 2022 debunked. Good morning to you.
That is it. We'll get into them after the first break. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Like Ryan said, this is the Minnesota Real Estate Show. We are local and live. Love your feedback during the show, whether you're watching us on any of the platforms or if you're listening to us on the radio. 651-294-6949. You can call and go live on air with any of your questions, or you can text us there. We do have a little fun question that we're going to kind of talk about through the show. What could somebody do to have you remove them, unfriend them, or block them on one of your social media sites? What could somebody possibly do to have you do that? I find that interesting. Again, 612-294-6949 is how you can join us. And if you've never checked out our website, it's mnrealestateshow.com, mnrealestateshow.com. All of our great partners. Steve Groen is on today. He's one of the best, but we've got a lot of good ones in any category.
Yeah.
Scott, I think you've been on a lot of bad dates.
I
think you've been doing.
I absolutely have been on a lot of bad dates.
Yeah, it is lots of fun stuff. Scott's always got interesting questions for us here today, but we're going to dive in first during the first segment here from a real estate and a mortgage update. And again, excited today is the debut for our friend, Mr. JJ Ellingson. I've known JJ a long time, a trusted loan officer in the market, very well respected loan officer. I've known him through a lot of friends at different real estate brokerages around the Twin Cities, people who've worked with JJ. And so really excited to have him in studio with us to share his wisdom. Good morning there, JJ. Thanks for being with us.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. I'm glad you went off script on what I wrote there for you to say.
Right? We tend to do that sometimes.
Yeah, we're not big scripted people.
Yeah, we like to keep it fun and keep it interesting. And we appreciate you coming in with as difficult as a week as it was in kind of the mortgage, the stock market world. It was like the Charlie Brown, the rain is just coming down. It was kind of a tough week, wasn't it?
It's a tough week in a number of things. I think first we have to get the elephant out of the room right here, or talk about that.
You're not calling me an
No, not at all. No.
As we point at Steve.
Yeah, I look at you. I'm making my debut today, and I've got to follow Mike Overson.
I know.
Loan Officer of the Year in 2021. I think those Be Like Mike commercials
Yes.
for Jordan were actually for Overson.
Yeah.
I think there's probably like a lawsuit or something.
Yeah, we're getting actually sick of Overson though. We're actually glad you're on. We were talking about it off air. We're like, I'm glad that Overson's not on the show.
No,
Right.
The thing about it with Mike, and for those of you that aren't watching on social media, is Mike is a guy that he's just got everything in his life kind of chiseled in. So like instead of coming in and, maybe having a Diet Coke or a bag of Cheetos or something, I mean, he's on his like second Quest cookie for the day and he's got a couple protein bars and shit. I mean, this guy's just dialed in. He's got everything.
Gallon of water.
Gallon of water.
Yeah.
Probably why he does well as a loan officer is that guy's an extremely hard worker.
Oh, for sure. He is fantastic. And then Alex Grip makes his debut.
Yeah.
And he's one of the rising stars in our market. And he just crushed it, I thought.
Yeah, he did a great job.
He was very good. I like his Instagram, Get a Grip. Get a Grip is his Instagram. But he was super, super impressive last week. But we like you, JJ.
Thank you. So yeah, I'm excited to be here. If we want to jump right into the mortgage
what's
stuff,
going on?
Yeah.
A tough week. Rate wise, we are the fives. That's not something we can talk about anymore. We're not there. Most cases, we're in the mid sixes and sometimes the upper sixes. A lot of factors there. But the thing I want to hit on today real quick is everybody knows Wednesday, the Fed announced they raised rates. And from the consumer's perspective, most of us think, oh my gosh, fixed mortgage rates went up. They raised them 0.75%. I'm sure Mike's touched on it before, but that's actually not what happens. The Fed doesn't directly raise interest rates. I mean, they're impacting short-term things like credit card debt or home equity lines of credit. Those go up. But there's so many other factors that are going on right now that have pushed rates up alongside that.
Yeah, because I was going to ask that, because normally what's bad for the economy is good for home interest rates, and the economy got kicked in the face. I mean, from all aspects, and rates still went up.
Right. Inflation is a problem. I mean, we're supposed to be around 2%. That's our number as an economy. That's where we want to be, and we're at 8.3 right now. So There's a lot of factors that are pushing rates up. But I think the key thing to remember or think about when you're a buyer right now is it's not permanent. You can have that rate for 30 years. But I think, like 2018, where we pushed above that 5% mark, a lot of people forget that. We came back down, and as recession talk heats up, at some point rates will come back down. I can't guarantee that, but I think that's likely what's going to happen. So you're really dealing with right now, per $100,000, when we compare 6.5, kind of a ballpark where most lenders are at, to 3% where they were for a while. It's about a $200 a month difference in your payment.
And we've talked about this on the show too. The comparison is last year or two. You go back to the 90s. I bought my first house down. I paid a point to bring it down to 9. So it's 6.5 high, and
Yeah, and that's it's a good point, Steve. What some borrowers are doing is we are seeing people where they're paying a little additional to do these like 2-1 buy downs and doing different things to get the rate down. Obviously, there's a cost for you as the buyer to do that that you're paying, at the time of closing. But that's starting to happen more too, JJ.
Yeah, 2-1 buy down program. Essentially, what's happening there, real quick, is if the rate's 6.5% for year one, those first 12 months, your payment's going to be based off of 4.5%. And then year 2, it's 5.5%. So that might be a short-term solution to give you a more affordable mortgage. Mm-hmm. And then hopefully within that 2 years or after, maybe rates come back down.
Well, that's the reason you do. I mean, we used to do a ton of them back in the early 2000s when rates were at 8%. So you buy it down to 6, and at that time that was a great rate. And then it would go to 7, and then it would go to 8. And then, of course, rates settled in. I can't remember what they were, but 5 something. And so a lot of people just refinanced. And I think that's what people are doing right now, because the difference in this market is with rates going up. We've never had rates going up at the time that we've had such high appreciation in homes. So it's like you're getting hit from both sides. Your payments going up and your home prices are going up. And that's what makes this sting.
Well, and for you too. So when you were an agent back in the 80s.
Speaking of Overson, did you hear this? So this one woman that responded to me on one of the dating sites said, "You're very handsome, and so is your son on the radio show." And he was talking about Overson. I'm like, and Overson's he's like 40 something years old.
Hey, let's get into some real estate stats here in the first segment. New listings are down. So we've got 1,407 new properties that came in onto the market this past week, down almost 19%. Pending sales also, as they have been the last couple months, down 30% year over year, 30% less pending sales. And then the inventory slightly increasing, about a 2% increase in homes for sale, 8,678 properties for sale. We will dive more, have a little discussion about those numbers, as well as some of the real estate myths after the first break here at the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Again, you're welcome to join us. 612-294-6949 is how you can join us by phone or text, or comment on the social media stream wherever you might be catching the show. Hope everybody's having a great first weekend of fall. This is the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Hope your weekend's going well. JJ, with those rates, do you see, we had a question come in, any correlation regarding stock market and interest rates? Are those normally correlated?
That's a good question.
Yeah, that's a good question. Rates, what we need to understand, there's so many factors there. A lot of times you look at it, and when the stock market's going up, rates might be coming down, or vice versa. But there's just so many factors in there with GDP, unemployment, inflation with the CPI. So it's hard to say there's one specific cause of where rates are going. So
yeah, good question. I want to dive in. Why not to some of we'll talk on air too, of course, about the real estate myths. But this is a common one, Scott, that people ask about. They say schools don't matter if you don't have children. Schools don't matter if you don't have children.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest mistakes that buyers in general do in the real estate market is you think in terms of what your needs are and what your wants are. So I don't have any kids, so why do I care what school district I'm in? Or I don't need two sinks in my master bedroom because it's just me, or it's just me and my wife. I don't want to have a tub as the main bath. I'd rather have a shower. It's when you start to get into your specific wants and needs, and you get outside of what the driving factors are, it really hurts you in resale. So buying a home in a place with a poor school district, yeah, you might not care because your kids aren't going to school, but the people that are buying your house in the future are really going to care.
Yeah, good.
What about Scott, real quick on that? How do you balance, not going too far into the focusing on the resale piece, buying, thinking about when I sell, like where's that line?
That's a great question. It's one of the hardest lines ever because we real estate agents think in terms of protecting our client, putting them in a position where, they're going to be fine in the house when they sell it 3 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, versus forgetting sometimes that, hey, I just love this house.
Yep.
And I don't necessarily, I've got other investments. I don't necessarily have to make a killing on my house. I just like this house and I like the area and I want to live here. And so you do need to listen because we get kind of beelined on making sure our clients are protected and they're not making mistakes, instead of sometimes asking the question, look, the appreciation here is only going to probably be 2 to 3% versus 10 to 15% over here. Is that something that's acceptable to you going into this? And they say, yeah, I don't really care about it. I just want to live in this house.
Kim just sent a message, said, JJ, are you seeing many low appraisals with the market change?
Not yet. Thanks for the question. One of the things we see is appraisals are based on, the last 3 to 6 months of data. So they haven't quite caught up to if we're seeing any depreciation or, prices stabilizing a little bit. So
Yeah. And you don't have contact with the appraiser, right?
no, I mean, we have a third party that handles that because they don't want us trying to influence that value. So that's a good thing.
Here we go. We're going back live on air. Twin Cities News Talk AM 1130. Thanks for joining us on the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Hey, welcome back to the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Hope your weekend is going well. It is the first weekend of fall. There's leaves falling. It is getting chillier in the morning. We're almost into October here. I did want to share just a quick story. Talking to Heidi Huseth, an agent on the team this morning, Scott. She had a new listing in Minnetonka that she put on that has looks like 5 offers on the property.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think part of when we share these numbers, they can be super deflating to hear. There's still activity happening in our market, and with certain listings, certain price ranges and areas, there's a lot of activity. And I think it comes down to one of the myths, Scott. One of the myths, that's our topic today, is if you're selling, price your house high. If you're selling, in this case, Heidi did not price it high. She's got 6 offers that they're sifting through right now, probably going to go way over list price.
Yeah, it's the biggest mistake that sellers and frankly real estate agents do in any market. Is real estate agents want to be liked, and so they have a hard time.
We like you.
Yeah, have a hard time being sometimes direct with their sellers, and unfortunately to the detriment of their sellers. The reason that Heidi's such a good agent is she priced it fairly, understanding that the numbers in that area were going to drive it to multiple offers, and that her seller is going to get way more money for her house than if they had maybe priced it $10,000 above and sat for 2 weeks. And so those are sometimes hard discussions to have with your seller because, your job is to sell the house, get the best terms, et cetera. It's also to make sure you're positioning them in the best position to get the most for their house. And just being a yes man that says, oh, yes, okay, I'll throw it on there. And I can show you agent after agent, cancellation after reduction after reduction after cancellation that plays that game. And it is just not in your seller's best interest.
Yeah.
We've talked about this before too. If you're a buyer and you see them dropping the price, you're thinking,
What's wrong?
what's wrong?
Yeah.
I don't know if I want this.
Right. Yeah, it's very, very true. JJ Ellingson, Luminate Home Loans, is joining us today in studio. JJ, you know what I was thinking? It would be fun to have Eric Lovins on sometime. Do you think Eric would do it?
Oh, I think we could twist his arm.
Our friend Eric, we got to get him in.
I think so too. It's overdue.
He would be a natural on air, wonderful guy at Luminate as well. Lots of topics. We got some questions coming in here as well. 612-294-6949. I did want to hit on one other myth before we dive in with Steve Groen. Another myth, Scott: you make more money if you renovate before you sell your property. You make more money if you renovate before you sell.
Yep, it is. It's a big myth. We hear the question all the time: should I finish my basement? Should I redo my kitchen? You know, I've lived here for 15 years. I've never finished my basement, but now I'm going to sell. And should I do that? And the best way I can explain it is if you do a perfect kitchen remodel, meaning you have everything that everybody out there wants. You didn't make any mistake. Same thing with a basement remodel. You did it absolutely. You know, it's what people want. And unfortunately, the majority of sellers don't know what that is. They think in terms of what they want, and it's not overall appealing.
Sure.
But if you didn't make a mistake on a kitchen remodel, you'll get a 65% return. So if you spend $100,000 on it, you're going to get $65,000 out of it. If you spend $50,000 in a basement, you're going to get about $25,000 out of it. So the bottom line is, it never makes sense to do any kind of a major remodel to sell your property. It does make sense to do refreshing of your property.
Refreshing.
You know, paint, carpet, light fixtures, things like that. You know, those are minimal costs. You get a better return on those, and it just helps you sell it in general.
Yeah.
Was there any type of renovation where you get $1 for $1?
No. I mean, we've got a friend that's in the siding business that would tell you that they do, but
unless it's an egress window,
that's right. That's right. You get $1 for $1 there. Yeah.
Maybe $2.
Well, again, you have to think in terms of of the enjoyment you'll get living there when you're doing the improvement. But that is a hard one. It's a hard one for sellers to understand.
Here's the one that was really hard for people to understand. I just put $80,000 worth of windows in my house. I just put a brand new roof on. And you know what you get for a return for that?
It's not great.
Zero.
Oh.
Because
it's not that low.
It's zero, pretty much, because people expect when they buy a house that they're going to have windows that work. And when they buy a house, that the roof doesn't leak. And so the fact that you have a new roof on, that's great. That's awesome. Yeah. Now, if you put in brand new Anderson windows throughout, you might get somebody that's like, okay, you spent $80,000 on it. You know, I love Anderson and I'll pay another 10. But for the most part, you don't get much out of it.
You just might sell that property sooner because that buyer's like, oh, this is great that it has
Correct.
windows. I don't have to do that.
Correct. It's an interesting phenomenon because when you're in new construction, those are like key things to people. What windows do you use? What windows do you use? In 25 years, I've had the question on windows maybe 3 times in an existing house. Because it's just a different mindset. You walk in and you're like, oh, it's got windows. It should. Oh, it's got a roof. Yeah, it should.
Want to welcome on our friend Steve Groen from Standard Water. Awesome partner. Again, if you go to mnrealestateshow.com, you'll see all of our trusted partners. These are people that we've connected with. We've found that help our clients, buyers, sellers, investors in the Twin Cities that work with agents on the Minnesota real estate team and help, again, most importantly, our clients. Good morning, Steve. Thanks for coming in, bud.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. Yeah, so everything we do touches the real estate market. When you go to sell a home, if there's water issues, they need to be disclosed. We come in, we solve them, whether it's patching up a crack in a poured foundation, replacing or installing new interior drain tile, and we install thousands of sump pumps each year. So that feeds into it. Obviously, egress windows. I still don't know if I'm going to buy the
window thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I got it.
We can agree to disagree.
But I do think one thing that's interesting is most people don't ask what windows we install. They're interested in the result. They're interested in warranty, and then of course radon systems. We do radon mitigation as well, which seems to have picked up steam this year. I'm not sure why.
Yeah,
Maybe
radon
it's
is,
being on this radio show. Who knows?
That's
yeah,
right.
So
radon
popular.
is a super important thing to be aware of. With the home inspections, we're starting to see home inspections come back again. So when buyers are buying the properties, they're including a contingency to do a home inspection. During that inspection, they often do radon testing as well, Steve. And that's where, again, if we see limits that are unsafe, you can come in to provide a system to ensure that things are safe.
Mm-hmm. And I talk to every potential radon install, the customer realtor on the phone. I talk to probably at least 3 realtors a day, walking them through the process. How big of an issue is this? What do we do? Ask a lot of questions and go through costs. If you're selling the home, you want it done quickly, remove that obstacle to the buyer. So that's what we help out with. And
I was going to ask you a question a little bit off the radon thing for a second, but do you see many wet basements where it's caused by hydrostatic pressure coming actually through the slab itself, not through the wall, where you'll have cracks in the actual slab, and there's enough hydrostatic pressure underneath where water comes through it?
We do see it. And just for a definition, hydrostatic pressure, if you imagine jumping into a swimming pool with a basketball and you try to dive down, like push that, you're not going to get very far, right?
Well, I can't, but Ryan, he would flow it back up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can take it down.
Now imagine that same swimming pool is empty, but the water's on the outside. You have massive pressure for that water coming in. And sometimes it'll get underneath the house, could be a spring underneath the house. And so hydrostatic pressure means the water is coming up like through the basement. So that does happen. Sometimes with limestone foundations that can get into really odd situations, we will, like on occasion, replace the entire basement floor. And then install drain tiles. So when it comes up, we can remove the water.
One comment before the break, another myth, and maybe JJ, you can comment on this. The idea, real estate myth, that buying is always better than renting. Buying is always better than renting. Is that true, JJ?
I guess it depends on what the rental rates are. I believe in home ownership long term. I mean, I also believe it's got to be the right time for you.
Right.
But we can look at the rent versus own analysis, and typically, you're ahead owning, but it's got to be the right opportunity for you.
Well, and that's what lens are we looking through? Because I've been a homeowner for many years and then
Sure.
an apartment, and now I don't need a snowblower.
Yeah.
So what's that worth?
Sure.
Well, and yeah, I think we're talking two things here. We're talking investment purposes. You're better off buying than you are renting. Situational life experiences, those change, and so maybe you are moving to Arizona in 2 years, and so you just want to simplify your life, rent for a couple of years, and kick it, not have to worry about selling your house and what's going to be happening with the market. So it's situational versus investment. I think they're totally different things.
Yeah.
And Scott, you went from owner to renter.
Correct.
Now you're going back the other direction, kind of flip-flopping around.
Correct. Yep. I went through a divorce, so I ended up renting and actually have enjoyed it. And I'm not sure if in the short term I'm going to go back to owning again. But yeah, same with you. I've owned, obviously, been in the business, so I've owned a lot of properties. But
We're at the halfway point already here at the Minnesota Real Estate Show. You're welcome to join us. Questions, comments, thoughts. Before the break, I did want to touch on a great listing, 556 Orleans Street. An open house is tomorrow, so Sunday, the 25th, from 4:30 to 6. This is in St. Paul, and David Meyer has this property listed. It is a single-family residence for $215,000 in St. Paul. And David says it's just minutes to downtown St. Paul. It's a great location. There's fresh paint throughout, new granite kitchen countertops, appliances, flooring, nice hardwood flooring in the dining room. It does have, Scott, a newer roof. The roof is approximately 10 years old. The water heater was new in 2018. Excellent, comfortable, and cozy starter home. It does have a one-car garage as well. And the address of that, again, is 556 Orleans Street in St. Paul for $215,000. Very affordable. Tomorrow, open 4:30 to 6 p.m. Check that one out. This is the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Thanks for so many folks tuning in on social media, wherever you might be. We even stream the show, Steve Groen, on LinkedIn. Steve, if you can believe it, we actually stream this on LinkedIn. You are a big LinkedIn fan, are you not?
Love LinkedIn. You can click on it. You see how many people you know in common. In fact, I just connected here with JJ, and I'm like, oh my goodness, how do you know? Let's down the laundry list here of people. So
Sure.
popular guy.
How about this, Troy Hill? Thanks for your comment. Troy says, real estate myth: a bedroom needs a closet to be a bedroom. Real estate myth. Thoughts on that one?
Very good one. You know, it's asked a lot. It does not. It can have as long as it has an egress window and a place to hang your clothes, so a wardrobe or whatever, it still qualifies as a bedroom.
There's no universal definition, if you can believe this, for what qualifies as a bedroom. The best advice I have always is to go to the city to look at the city website. Very interesting. It's very interesting. People always say, hey, is this a bedroom? Is this not a bedroom? When you look at the city website to see what is in their building code. JJ, I don't know if you've run into that or if you've seen that with appraisals or anything like that.
I haven't too often, so.
Because it's just a standard thought that it has to have an egress window and it has to have a closet.
Sure.
And I've actually been turned into MLS for for actually saying it's a 5-bedroom when it's a 4-bedroom.
Sure.
And I'm like, no, it's a 5-bedroom. It just doesn't have a closet in it. And agents they don't like it and they don't think that's the case, but it is the case.
Yeah, it's a good comment. Thanks, Troy, for that. Again, we're here till 11 o'clock. If you have questions, comments, thoughts, if you have myths that some of the myths that we're discussing. The first myth, it is right in your wheelhouse though, JJ, regarding you don't have to bother getting pre-approved before you really start the process. Hey, I'm financially doing well. We've got good jobs. Thoughts on that myth?
Yeah, I am a proponent of go through that process so you can understand, rates, terms, closing costs, your buying power, and also to be in a position to take action. Because you guys know, a property might come up today that, is hot, you think it will be, and you have somebody that wants to do that, and they haven't done that piece. The seller's not going to accept an offer without financing in place.
Yeah, no, for sure. It is, and it's Murphy's Law. that property is going to pop up. You have someone that drags their feet, and then all of a sudden the property, and then they panic. Well, Scott, we got to get the property. I said, you can't. You're not qualified yet.
You're not qualified to do it.
It's like I can't. What am I going to tell the agent? I'm not going to lie and say you are. You're not. And so you got to get qualified. And it's amazing. That is a lot of times what actually spurs people on to do it. The other thing, JJ, I think that is important is it's a wholly different process now than it was 10 years ago. So, 10 years ago, you walked in, you could fog a mirror, you could get qualified. Now it is totally different. And people, they aren't used to that. They don't particularly like it.
Right.
They have to supply so much stuff and so much paperwork and bank accounts and revised bank accounts and all that stuff.
Yeah. The other thing on that real quick is I don't fear that. It's kind of equated to the once a year physical. I don't want to assume I'm healthy.
Sure.
Just like financially, I don't want to assume in the lender's eyes that I'm healthy. Credit reports, 25% of them have errors on them. Could that be you? And you don't know it. So
Right.
It's an opportunity to discover that stuff and improve your pre-approval or financial situation.
So how long does it take to get approved?
Depends on the situation. If you're self-employed business owner, it might take a couple days to do that, depending on how fast you can get me what I need.
Yep.
For a W-2 borrower, you can do that same day.
Yeah.
So
What if you set it up like a Starbucks where you go in the drive-through?
be honest with them.
What do you think?
So weird.
Here we go. We're going back live on air. Twin Cities News Talk, AM 1130. Welcome back. Hey, want to give a shout out to our friend Mike Dubs. Mike comes in every Saturday. Thank you for doing that, Mike. We're grateful for you and your hard work. You hear Mike on K102, Scott, I know you're a big K102 listener. You've heard Mike quite a few times, haven't you?
Listen to him all the time. Normally when he's talking, I turn it down, until the music comes back on. But every once in a while, he catches me off guard.
I think we should have Mike Douglas. Mike, we should flip flop. We should have you in here, or maybe Scott.
Oh, run the board.
Run
Yeah,
the board.
that would be good. Yeah, put me running the board.
Yeah, we do. Mike Dubs, lots of fun stuff. Check him out on K102. Really good material as always. I did want to hit on another listing. Kevin Curtis, Mr. Kevin Curtis with the Minnesota Real Estate Team Remax Advantage Plus. He has one in Minneapolis. JJ, this one's 5452 Emerson Avenue South in Minneapolis, listed for $389. It is a coming soon property. Showing start this coming Tuesday, the 27th. And Kevin says this is the first time to the MLS. It's an architect-designed home by W.J. Holm. And this one-of-a-kind Kenny neighborhood gem offers an attention-grabbing 20-foot high ceilings in the living room, beautiful woodwork, extra wide spaces in the stairs and hallways compared to other homes of the era. And it's got an elevated west-facing view of the surrounding neighborhood. A second floor sun deck, very cool, provides a private relaxing space to enjoy the 180-degree treetop view and amazing sunsets. This is a very cool, unique home, 5452 Emerson Avenue South in Minneapolis, $389,000. What do you think of that, Scott?
That's a great area. Super good area. Kevin is an incredibly good agent. And sounds like a good one. I've got a myth that is actually not on our list. I was just thinking about. Yeah.
As we prepare ourselves.
Take a breath.
I'm nervous.
No, but this is an interesting one. The agent that is showing me houses represents me. Typically, people think, so let's say you meet an agent at an open house, and then you set up a time to go out and look at 5 houses with him. The thought is that the agent represents me. He is not, or she does not represent you, right?
So tell me more.
No, you tell me more. You're the broker.
No, I want to hear your response.
So until there's a buyer rep contract in place that says you represent them as the client, you actually do not represent them as a buyer.
Yeah, well, that was quick. Sorry,
that's the quick answer.
Yeah, the interesting thing, and that's where in Minnesota, what happens when you make a decision, say, hey, you know what, I've met Kevin Curtis, a great agent, I would like to work with him. You're signing essentially a buyer representation agreement, which says that that broker that Kevin is with is going to be assisting you through the process of purchasing a home. I had a comment here too, a lot of comments coming in that says a bedroom needs a minimum ceiling height. If a home has a low clearance ceiling, such as in a basement, the city may not consider it a bedroom. A bedroom also needs privacy. A city generally does not count a room as a bedroom if a person needs to pass through that room to get to another living area.
Again, yeah, and those are correct. You need to check with the city because all cities have different requirements. They also sometimes have requirements of size. Can a 6x5 space be called a bedroom? Typically not.
Yeah.
Normally there need to be at least a minimum size.
JJ, how with the turn in interest rates? Again, interest rates went from the low 3s to 6s, mid 6s, high 6s. Obviously, the real estate market overall, you heard the numbers, down 25%, 30% in transactions. What's the mortgage world seeing? Is it similar? Are all lenders down 20%, 25, 30%, that type of thing?
We've obviously pulled back from the 2020 and 2021 highs. So refinances are mostly non-existent unless it's like a divorce situation, something like that. Volume, as we say, is down, but there still are people out there exploring their options.
Yeah, and again, Steve Groen, Standard Water, what's interesting, you said you're having a record year. Is that right?
We're having a really good year. Again,
Okay.
we had a lot of rain in the spring that carried us, but radon sales are way up, egress way up, and waterproofing is solid. Actually, we're booking jobs to next year now. Everyone wants, they take a while to make a decision. They want it right now. Right?
Yeah.
That's what we want. So right now is next year.
Wow.
If you're remodeling your basement, You want that 50 cents on the dollar return on your
Yeah.
investment, you're going to go for it. It starts with waterproofing, right? You can't finish your basement without making sure that's in place. And now is the time to start taking a look at it. Have us out, no cost, free estimate from my top 4 guys. Their average 10 years, 23 years. So it's all pro when we come out, give people options and go from there.
Well, again, I know, Scott, you met a lot of the salespeople and at our annual charity golf event for the Minnesota real estate team. Awesome salespeople, love working with the company, love working with you. Really great guys.
Yeah, they were. And like Steve said, they've been there for a long time and know their stuff, and not salesy. Just you can just tell they're kind of similar to how we do our real estate business. They just want to help people and put them in the right direction. If it's a fit, it's a fit. If it's not, it's not.
How about this for a myth? This is a myth. I am going to go with the lowest interest rate I can see, even if it is an out-of-state lender. That out-of-state lender is
That's a
really
good one.
going to help me. JJ, what do you think?
You got to get through the details.
Right?
You guys probably get the mailings. I get the mailings and the calls because the mortgage is publicly recorded, where I get somebody telling me, hey, we're going to give you 2.875. Well, how many points are coming with that? What are the costs? What service do I want? So lowest is not always what's going to happen, and it's not always what's best for you.
Well, the rates are the rates. So if the rates are 6.5 to 7, and it depends on your credit scores, but if that's the rates, then there is no 4% rate. It doesn't exist unless money is being thrown at it to drive it down to that. So when I have clients call me and say, hey, Scott, we're thinking about going with, I won't say the name of them, but you hear the ads. And I'm like, first of all, no reputable agent wants to work with them because they're horrible. Secondly, it's not 4%. It's not.
You sure we can't say the name?
Yeah.
Well, the
I'd
hard
like to
thing to
know the
understand,
names.
and that's a myth too. So if you're a buyer, you haven't bought a home in a long time, that you will assume that a myth is that all pre-approval letters are created equal. The reality of it, when you talk to our friends at all the different real estate companies, the Edina Realties, the Coldwell Bankers, the Keller Williams, very good agents, when they get offers on their listings, that senior listing agent, he or she is going to say, who's the lender? Do I know the lender? Is the lender local? Oh, JJ Ellingson, wow, great guy, awesome company. I know the owners, they close on time, they fund on time, he's honest. So that's a myth that people think all money is equal when it comes to buying real estate.
Oh, and it is definitely not. I mean, you have 35 offers on a listing. I can tell you right now, as a listing agent, you're getting a loan from California, you're getting a loan from Chicago, you're getting a loan from wherever, or if it's an online lender, I throw those out. I mean, I show them to my client, I have to, but I tell them don't mess with it. The risk is too high.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, it just is.
Scott is
That's
an
a great
interesting man.
one.
Money doesn't show up. You got issues with appraisals. They don't understand the state I mean, it's a mess.
It's a mess.
It's a
He
mess.
is interesting, though. He is the most interesting man on the
interesting.
Minnesota Real Estate Show. We need maybe like a little something here we can put in the studio so people can see it here. What do you think, JJ?
Yeah, I think like buying a place and selling, there's so many moving parts there. And the ability to be able to call that lender and get them on the phone quickly or get them to call you back so you can understand and relay to all parties what's really happening is critical. And when that's not working right and you can't get in touch with anybody, that stress level for all parties, buyers, sellers, is just amplified, and it's a tough situation. So
We're at the final break here at the Minnesota Real Estate Show, 612-294-6949. Before the break, Miss Sally Gill, awesome agent, RE/MAX Advantage Plus, the Minnesota Real Estate team. Scott, she's got an open today down in Farmington. It's open from 12 to 2, 18434 Dunbarry Avenue. It's priced at $485. It's a 4-bed, 3-bath, 3-car garage home. It's got a great lot and neighborhood, spacious main floor with a hard to find. All 4 bedrooms are on the upper level. And again, come on out today for the open house. Sally will be there, 18434 Dunbarry Avenue in Farmington, listed for $485, open from 12 to 2. This is the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Thanks for joining us. So many of you, the whole show here on social media. Appreciate it. A lot of good questions that have come in. We did have a text message question come in. We've got Jimmy. Jimmy had mentioned average cost to waterproof a basement. Average cost? That's probably a hard one, Steve.
Yeah, that is a good question. Round numbers, really round numbers. If it's a perimeter job and you just measure around the inside, and this is our company, but I think if you get 10 quotes, we're in the middle pretty much. I think we do the best job of anyone. In fact, I know I do a different topic. You're looking at roughly $80 a foot. So you're at 100 feet times 80, $8,000. That covers, there's no tax on that. That would be permit, all in, includes a sump pump, discharge lines, that sort of thing. But that is a very good question. Now that would be interior drain tile. There's a bright, you get into smaller jobs, it's not going to be $80 a foot because you charge more and that sort of thing. But round numbers, we have competitors who charge significantly more and do significantly less. And yeah.
How about this for a question? I think about this with COVID, coming out of COVID, with as backed up as everything is, suppliers, contractors, everything. How, Steve, in your world, how much of a premium are consumers paying because of that? You know what I mean? Like, you're booked out till, what'd you say, next July or whatever that is. How does that affect pricing?
Yeah, that is interesting. So I've been on the front end of ordering stuff far in advance to make sure we have drain tile, to make sure we have sump pumps. And it's been crazy, the delays. Windows, waiting 5 months for delivery on this. Yeah. And customers want stuff right away. So, and we get a letter like every other month. Our prices are going up on this date. So if you got to place your order by this date, or they go up 8%. And, it's not just the 8%, like the trucking is crazy. Like it's double. Yeah. It's just been ridiculous.
What do you mean?
Well, like we bought, we have diamond drainage board. I have a die. It's in Texas. I buy it a couple times a year. I, build a whole bunch of it and then ship it up here. And I looked at the last price quote on shipping, and you got to be kidding me. The transportation cost is ridiculous. I made my own phone calls to a bunch of brokers, and I was like, yep, I'm pretty much screwed. So wow. Yeah, you gotta be on the front end of that. And so to your point, how much your price is going up, I'd follow that, that CPI. If someone threw out the 8%, that's probably where we're at. How much has gas gone up? It's more than 8%, even though it's trickled back down. And it's the same with wages and insurance, and it's everything. So I'd say round numbers from where we were, probably 10%. I mean, you got to make a buck. You can't just mark it up for the cost too, right?
Right.
You got to mark it. It's hard. It's really hard.
Here we go. We're going back live on air. Twin Cities News Talk, AM 1130. Thanks for joining us for the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Hey, welcome back to the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Got another listing. Jennifer Ritzman has this one. It is a 4-bed, 2-bath, 1-level, well-maintained home in Bloomington. It's got a new roof, siding, brand new kitchen, new flooring, paint, screened-in porch, newer windows, steps from Valley View Park, and it's got easy access to all the major highways. It is move-in ready, 9117 3rd Avenue South in Bloomington, listed for $365. 9117 3rd Avenue South in Bloomington for $365. And then I got to give a shout out today to our friend Cecilia Giron with Remax Advantage Plus, the Minnesota real estate team. Scott, she's got one in Minneapolis, 3532 10th Avenue South in Minneapolis. It's priced at $329,900. She's doing an open house actually today, right now, from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. You can stop out and say hello to Cecilia. It is a beautiful South Minneapolis home. It's a great opportunity to own it under contract for deed as well. It's a 3-bed, 2-bath, 2-car garage, newly renovated kitchen. It's got stainless steel appliances, granite countertops, cabinets, new hardwood floors, fresh paint throughout. There's 3 bedrooms on the upper level with a beautiful balcony in the master bedroom. 3532 10th Avenue South in Minneapolis. Again, $329,900 open house. One
Very
of the myths maybe we can talk about too is that the market, a lot of times when people ask you, boy, Ryan, how are things in real estate? In other words, like there's been a death, like there's been a funeral. And I was talking, Scott and I were talking this week that you have to remember, even in our good old state of Minnesota, even when there's snow on the ground, people are moving for lots of reasons, even when interest rates go up, even when the market slows. So the world's not ending. Things are still happening, Scott.
Yeah, no, it's again, we got to keep it in perspective. We still have 8,600 homes on the market. That is an extremely aggressive seller's market. Heidi Huseth's listing is an example of that. It's a relatively upper bracket property, and they have 5 offers on it. Versus 2008, where you have one showing on your home every 2 months, and you're just you're doing everything you can possibly do to get somebody even to show it, much less sell it. So this is still a very good market. We've just gotten hit by all sides here. People are just taking a breath, and it'll be fine. And the 3-bedroom in Minneapolis that Cecilia has is actually a 5-bedroom, but they have 1 bed in the kitchen and then 1 in the master bathroom.
You're so terrible.
So it's classified as a 5-bedroom.
You're terrible. We've been talking about legal requirements for bedrooms. Oh man, JJ, this is your debut performance. We like you, JJ. We want you on more often.
Wow. I could get used to hearing that. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it is always good stuff. Again, we've been talking to Steve Groen from Standard Water. We had a question come in regarding pricing. Steve, you talked about just everything going up, obviously with inflation and whatnot. But you said your pricing is kind of middle of the road. You're not the most expensive. You're not the least expensive. You're right in the middle of the road.
Absolutely. I think the way we actually install any of our products is best in class. If you compare the method and what people have in the warranty, best in class. But in the end, I think it's like all businesses. Companies don't do work, people do. And I've got people who do the work, and my top 10 most tenured guys have been with us over 22 years. So I don't have to go to job sites and micromanage anything. We have the jobs inspected, we pull permits, but the jobs will be done right. And when you have super high quality, you don't have to have the highest prices because you don't have as many callbacks, you don't have the warranty issues. So it's a symbiotic sort of relationship with quality and price.
How about this for a myth? Maybe we'll bring it up that there is no advantage, Scott, to having a real estate agent. Is that a myth?
That's a myth. And it is, and in this kind of market, now we're kind of moving out of it here, but let's rewind back into, February and March, where if everybody thinks all I got to do is throw a sign in the yard and my house is going to sell. That might be correct. But if you look at the national average for sale by owners, what they get for value of the home, last time I looked at it, I think it was 13% less for selling their home. The percentage of selling their home, again, I'm going to butcher these numbers. I haven't looked at them for a long time, but it was in the 3 to 5% that even sold. And so from just a marketing standpoint, getting in front of enough people, driving enough value to drive multiple offers, which is the job of a listing agent, is going to always net you more for your house than trying to do it on your own. When you throw on top of that, the type of person that shops for sale by owners is also a discounted minded person. And their mindset is, okay, you're listed here. You're not paying 7% commission. You'd only get 90% of your asking price. So here's my offer. So it's just low after low offer after low offer. And then Ryan, you can speak better to this than I can, but it's not just marketing and selling the homes. People don't understand behind the scenes the amount of problems that can occur and come up. And, you as a broker deal with that, especially having a large team on a daily basis. There's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. There's way more than you think. Again, when we sometimes say buying a home is not like going into Best Buy and getting a TV and spending $500 or $1,000 or whatever. You give them your money, you take your TV, and life moves on. We wish real estate sales was that simple and that easy. Really, the heavy lifting, a lot of the work that your agent is going to do is even once there's a contract or when that offer comes in, analyzing the contract itself to help you determine, is it a good offer? Are there contingencies to be aware of? What are some of the pitfalls of that offer? And then even if you take the offer, guiding through the file, working with someone like a JJ, Luminate Home Loans, working with the lender, with the title company, with the other agent, with the inspectors, the city. You need a pro to help you through that process. And we're not just saying that obviously because we're agents, but just for me over the last 20 years of seeing it play out daily, where people sometimes go it alone. And JJ, it can be ugly.
It can. I mean, I've helped people buy on the for sale by owner side, and those things are tough. There's just too many moving parts.
Yeah.
I think
Well, go ahead, Steve.
well, the general public knows what they see. Okay, well, I can go online and click and look at house. But they don't know what they can't see.
Sure.
And that's what you're helping you know, so they don't step on any landmines, even on the, you know, what lender are they using?
That's right.
There's 100 of those things.
That's right. Well, and then there's so many time constraints on condos, time constraints on inspections, time constraints on contingent offers. How does that work? When does it end? Is it at midnight? Is it working days? Is it, so there's just a lot of things. What happens if the contract is not signed on those dates? Is it automatically canceled? A lot of people think it says if this doesn't happen by this time, both parties agree that this is a canceled contract, but both parties still have to sign a canceled contract. So what happens if the other party won't sign it? Now you can't sell your house because you're still in a legal binding contract. You can't force them to sign it. I mean, there's just a lot of stuff that can come up that you need to have a professional help in.
Steve,
Yeah,
we're running on the
right.
home stretch here.
Yeah, I was just going to say verbal versus written. Verbal doesn't mean
Anything.
anything. That's really important.
Steve Groen, Standard Water, awesome partner. Again, if you go to mnrealestateshow.com, you will find him there. Best way for people to connect with you.
Well, LinkedIn, Steve Groen, or look us up online. Service@standardwire.com is our email. If anyone listening to the show would like a free radon test kit, you can just shoot me an email, find me on LinkedIn, send me your address, and I will mail one, no charge.
Wow.
Truly free.
Very
and
nice.
you can test, you can find out what your levels are.
LinkedIn, you're a LinkedIn. Maybe we should have you do a little LinkedIn demo.
I've done them before for friends, and yeah, it's kind of where it's at.
JJ Ellingson, great job, bud. Your
Thank
debut, very well done. Not surprised.
Thank you. Thanks
Best way for
having me.
people to connect with you.
They can just go to my site, applywithjj.com, and my contact info will be there. Or you can use that Google and just search my name. I'll probably come up.
JJ Ellingson. Well done. Thanks for the great work there, bud.
Thanks, guys.
Scott, last thoughts?
No, just get out there, parade home. I think that this might be the last weekend or maybe second to last weekend. So get out there and take a peek. If you're in Lakeville, go out and see Jen with Country Joe Homes. They've got a great model.
Yeah, nice comment. Thank you. Had Mr. Steve Hyland, fellow friend, awesome real estate agent, broker, kind comment on the social stream. Thank you, Steve. Appreciate you tuning in. It's been a fun show, everybody. Have a great weekend and a great start to this fall. Take care. Thanks for joining us on social media. A lot of good questions coming in, good thoughts. Thank you, everybody. We'll be back next Saturday again to talk all things real estate related, mortgage related. Scott's having phone
I
issues.
do that every single week. Thanks, everybody.
Phone issues. Great job, you guys. Steve, JJ.
Thank you.
All right. We'll be back next weekend. Take care, everybody.